How you doing, guys? If you haven't ever joined us before, maybe you're joining us for the first time because you're looking for some UFL content. I can't promise you that we're like the go-to voices for the UFL. I can't promise like we're going to give you winning picks, but what I can tell you is that we actually care about this league. We've watched this league from the start. This podcast actually originated around niche sports and just like loving niche sports so much and trying to get it more attention. So one of our big platform shows initially was the UFL. So every time the UFL comes around, this is kind of like a flag plant, like an anniversary kind of moment for me, because it always flashes back to when I first started this podcast. And it was under the idea that like, okay, we can take this DFS strategy, we can take this, lineup builder idea, and we can apply it to different sports. And I do think like when you look at the UFL or these lesser known sports, information is key. And if you want to talk about getting an edge and really enjoying something and really enjoying like the process of something, I do think it's in things like the UFL where most people may not have the most information. You got to do some deep diving. These are where it really pays off. And so we're going to do some UFL content as we've been promising. This is the lineup builder show for week 1. Donnie Guff, how are we doing?
I'm
Doing
good.
good so far. A little tired tonight, but we are all good.
I truly believe that's the biggest edge, though, right? Is the information isn't as readily available as like the NFL or even like the late breaking news in NBA. At least we know it's going to be a theme ride. Like we know at 7:30 it might be a rush, but we're going to get the information. The UFL relies on a lot of beat reporters, a lot of like even hopeful that coaches are telling you the truth. I mean, if I'm being honest, I think 2 coaches were fired like 3 weeks or released or resigned like 3 weeks before the season started, for being fair. So that kind of tells you that yes, the league is fun, but it's unpredictable. I like that. Like one of the reasons I like the UFL is because unlike college, where it's like young guys getting a chance, for a lot of these guys, it's their last chance. So I know that like Netflix did that show, Last Chance U, and kind of built it around JUCO. But if you think about it, like the UFL is kind of the professional Last Chance U for a lot of
This
these
is
guys.
the last chance UFL.
It really is. And so I think that kind of desperation, that kind of like skill set is on full display. So I really enjoy this quite a bit.
Gov, you like that one?
Well, let's be honest with you. I think that's why you and Gov like the UFL opposed to college, because college is like so many players that know they're young, they're not fully developed yet. But the professional, I mean, we are talking about guys who have spent some time in the NFL in most cases. Like when we go through the running backs, especially, there's a lot of running backs who had cups of coffee, who had chances in the NFL, and you're going to recognize a lot of their names. And it's just like, how much talent do they still got left?
Yeah. All right. Do you want to clear that lineup to start us?
I can.
So we can get a fresh start.
Oh.
First and foremost, how do we want to do this team? Do we want to go through the game and talk before we build? Do we want to do a draft and then see what we want to pivot off of? Because there's only 4 games. I feel like we can talk through all of them.
Mm-hmm. And they are different days. I know we talked about that a bit on our preview, but for those who don't know, they're doing what would you call it? Like a prime time? I guess prime time is the word. So they're doing a Friday prime time game each day or each week of the season. So that's why we're doing this show tonight, because Friday actually starts the contest.
And it's actually a big deal because, like, at least the first game, the biggest name probably that might not miss is that in that first game, St. Louis is questionable Hakeem Butler, who has a hamstring issue. We'll see if he ends up being cleared to play, but at least that's the first game, and we'll know and build around it, I guess.
Yeah, I think he will play, but he is like one of the more sure volume receivers in the league behind Kirkland. So,
but different quarterback. That was with AJ McCarron.
It
Max
was.
Dugan takes over, and that could change stuff.
Butler is the most physically opposing force on the field. I believe he's like legit 6'5".
Yeah, he's 6'5", 6'5", like 240. He's a monster. He's like this league's Calvin Johnson, if you could.
He really is. I mean, in the NFL, he played tight end because he wasn't quick enough. But in this league, where corners aren't, going to have the speed and the talent, he's going to dominate. He did last year as well.
Yeah. Well, he has the last 2 or 3 years. He's been one of the best receivers in the spring football.
So let's just go game by game. I actually have some news on this. Houston is really banged up at running back, especially.
Well, yeah, Houston's banged up. They only have one name that we know will play, right? No.
Well, I think Merritt's going to play. I think Merritt's a good play. He was a limited participant, but that was mainly because the starter who played last year.
It was St. Louis who's down to one guy who we know who will play.
Right. And that guy actually had some NFL experience with the Kansas City Chiefs.
I mean, he also was very dominant last year. That's why his price is so high. But one thing I always like to remember, and I feel like it should be better this year, is the offensive lines usually aren't great, especially to start, and which really affects the run game. The running backs did not score much at all last year, unless you had the one occasional blow-up game. One of the highest priced running backs from Birmingham was Marable, and he averaged 13 a game probably.
Yeah, occasionally there was a spike week of 20 or something, but yeah, it wasn't usually multiple running backs. Yeah.
So you usually won't play more than the one running back anyway.
Well, I will say in this league, though, offensive coordinators do tend to run the ball more. You do see a lot more older-minded coaches. So they're kind of still stuck in that old mindset of football. So you see a lot of dinosaur.
Yes, but they will use a committee when they have to. That's why, when we can capitalize on a really tight backfield, we should in this league.
Well, I want to say Houston's really been, because a couple of weeks ago, I don't even think White was on the roster. That's why I got it pulled up on the screen here. TJ Pleasant, what was the number one running back last year? It looked pretty good, was a pass catcher as well. So him being out is a big deal. I don't know what to do, but I think Merritt's cheap enough. I'm going to take a chance on him almost everywhere in my lineups. I might even have some running backs in the flex just because, like I said, I do think a lot of teams are going to want to lean towards running the ball. I mentioned, coaches leaving this league. So usually when there's a lot of turnover and turmoil, I guess you would say, people are going to go back to the basics. So I could just see a lot of teams running. The San Antonio Brahmas, though, are the most pass-happy team in the league. So that was some of my notes.
Well, St. Louis might have been. It's close, but St. Louis was super pass happy. That's why even with Sailors, he's so expensive for one. And knowing how pass happy they've been with only 2 running backs in the backfield, I really want to avoid the St. Louis backfield today. I don't know what you guys feel about that.
I would see that because Sailors is so much, and I would rather have a Kirkland or
I could see him 13 carries, and it's oh wow, we really messed up.
Right. There's a wide receiver that I think is a must play that we can get to a bit later too. And maybe we'll go to the draft or however you guys want to do it. Is there any other notes you want to mention right off the top? Because I got a couple more if you want to just.
Keep going through your notes. Yeah.
So at wide receiver for the Showboats in Memphis, we have a major problem at wide receiver. They're number one.
I do have a Houston Roughnecks news actually. White was listed inactive. So if White is officially going to be inactive coming into tomorrow.
You think so at running back?
It's posted on their Friday's inactive list. Yeah, Houston's posted this. Sorry.
So that makes Merritt a really good play.
Merritt should be basically alone in the backfield by himself.
And I was going to say he got some receiving work too late in the year. I just don't see there's any reason to not play him, even if he is a Darren Sproles type, and it's he's not going to get a ton of workload. He was not priced for this volume, and he wasn't priced for this kind of workload. And I think they're basically going to have to rely on him unless they just sign somebody that we can't even play or that we're not thinking about, which can happen in this league very easily. I was going to go over to Memphis, though, really quickly with some of my notes. And Davis being out is a big deal. He was the Memphis number one red zone target guy. He obviously was their number one receiver, I thought personally, but specifically, he was the red zone guy. So he was their big body target, the guy they relied on, really showed out late in the year last year. I think Adams, given his size,
Adams was there last year and played well.
He was, and he was just a pure athletic freak, body position, kind of tight, or kind of almost a basketball player, would box people out. And so with him being under 6K, them needing a wide receiver, I think you'd almost have to consider one of these Memphis cheap wide receivers. For me, it will be Adams, just based on the size profile. We can pull it up here too. I mean, at the end of last year, he was seeing, 7 or 8, even 10 targets at one point last year. And if you're going to take Davis off the field, I like that quite a bit. The one thing I will tell you about the Brahmas is they've been by far the best team. They've won the championship the last basically 2 years. Martinez is not there anymore, but they love to run the ball. The problem with using one of the running backs is they basically it's a 1A, 1B situation with them. They will run it a lot. They even like Roundtree quite a lot last year, giving him some opportunity to get some practice squad spots.
Just a correction, you said Brahmas, it's Stallions, Birmingham.
I still do that.
Yeah, you stumped up.
You go back. I still like that
Don't do that. Don't do that.
But it is the Stallions, yes.
Yes.
That is the game you went to as well, Donnie, right?
Yep, Stallions in the conference championship last year. Front row seats, $20. So
would you mind going back? Like, sell people on the experience really quickly.
I will 100% make a game this year, especially if they're in the playoff run.
Yeah. See, I told you we actually cared about this league. That just proves it. So I don't really have any other big notes I wanted to mention, though. I guess because I don't remember if we were talking on screen or off screen. There was going to be some teams that use 2 quarterbacks. We saw some of that last year because a lot of teams have a running quarterback, or they like a quarterback for a specific 2-point conversion or like a subset of plays. So we will see some 2 quarterbacks. They've already committed to that. Houston being the number one, they basically said they're going to use Anthony Brown, who was a Ravens backup for a while, and they're going to use Henderson. It looks like St. Louis might do that with Wilkins and Max Duggan too, but Duggan's talented. So we also know that if a quarterback really gets in a rhythm, they might just stick with him, which makes DFS very frustrating because if you're like, well, I want to play the athletic guy, he's going to get some snaps, and then he just fumbles the ball in the first quarter in the first play, and he doesn't see the field. You could get negative points. I know that happened a couple times last year, and that's just where the misinformation is a gamble. So don't get it wrong here when you say, we're dealing with a niche sport. We're going to get some things wrong, and you have to be ready for the roller coaster, the highs and the lows. I don't know how these guys want to build this lineup. We're going to do that here shortly. But I'm personally going to try to play only quarterbacks that I know are going to play the whole game. So like Kellen Mond, these type of guys. That's just how I'm going to handle it. But I could see why people want to play Duggan because he was very close to being NFL ready, and he led a high octane TCU team in college, so he's pretty good. He could just dominate this league. So I guess we'll see. Any other thing you guys want to mention before we start building?
No, I do think though, I'm pretty sure last year, what we need to basically figure out as a group is who our quarterback is going to be. And then there's 6 spots, so we can just draft accordingly. Each of us will get 2 picks.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do have the first, apparently, obviously adjustments might be made, and nothing's ever set in stone with UFL, but I am going to share the screen of the official depth chart for that first game in a second, if you want to take a look at that, because it looks like Dugan will not start.
Okay, see? And that's where you have to be trusting of
you have to be very, very attentive in the UFL, almost as much as basketball.
As soon as I see the screen down here, I will share it. I don't see it yet.
I mean, they'll have all that stuff out, like, it's not like basketball, because, like, they will have everything ready, like, at least an hour before the game.
Yeah.
It's not basketball where it could be 15 minutes before the game.
There it is.
Over here is St. Louis's offense. Manny Wilkins apparently starting.
But it's definitely a situation where they did say both quarterbacks were going to get rotation minutes. That's literally what they called it. Rotation.
I imagine Dugan wins that starting job, but we have seen Manny Wilkins play decent games in the XFL. They only have 2 running backs listed on the depth chart right now for them.
And Wilkins is a terrible thrower, by the way. Terrible thrower, but really
100%, but you got to worry about the tush push.
Yeah, he's super athletic.
Otherwise, a guy I was really considering playing, especially if there is an injury, was going to be Denzel Mims. But if he's receiver 4, I'd rather play other guys at that price.
I think I will take a chance on Mims because we believe that Andy.
I believe in the talent, but I don't know if I'll do it this week.
Yeah, I believe Andy Isabella is also out for St. Louis, so I do think they're going to need to rely on Mims.
The Roughnecks also only have 2 running backs listed, and it actually has Lingard starting over Merritt. So
do they?
Like that's a big deal because we were just talking about maybe we play Merritt, but
yeah, I was definitely considering it. But if I will basically play whatever running back I think it starts.
I will source this. It
is a beat report.
This is a basically mainly focused UFL Twitter account, but they obviously got it somewhere. It's an official UFL thing, and it's United Football Media is the source on that. It's a Twitter account, but hey, this is the lineups that they found posted.
But even if we looked at this, guys, just from a strategy standpoint, when Lingard is 4K and he saves you that much, if he is legit the starter or even gets most of the run, like that is something you should consider.
Yeah, no, 100%. Lingard is now on the radar for us, I think.
I think I was actually going to probably, I say we just put him in.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to, Logan, if you want to, you switch the screen over yet? I'm going to take it down for a bit. But if we want to take a look back on it, I will pull it back up.
Yeah, I think going with him is a good opportunity. Even if he doesn't start, if they only have 2 running backs, he's going to get some carries.
Exactly. If he's, God forbid, 2% owned, and we get this, we're already good.
I mean, in the same game, Sailors is like a high-priced option. He is 9,000. Where Lingard is the minimum at 4,000. That's a huge savings. And if they get anywhere,
and people will just play Lingard based on what DraftKings says.
Yeah. Well, I believe DraftKings has Merritt ahead of Lingard in their depth chart right now. But that's
they do have Merritt ahead in the depth chart right now, and they won't change that.
And that's what I was saying in the beginning of the show is information is king, and it really is an edge there. What else did we want to do? Because like I said, I kind of want to just pay up for a quarterback that I know is going to be the starter.
100%. I was going to say the next thing for me is like we need to play a quarterback that isn't splitting snaps. So that eliminates Michigan. That eliminates St. Louis, apparently.
Yes.
Does that eliminate anyone else? I don't want to play Matt Corral because I think they're going to be run heavy against a DC team that I don't think is very good.
Well, that is, I've actually heard the quarterback ahead is Alex Magoo.
Really? Because don't forget now, they let Matt Corral play in the conference championship. He came in and played savior when, gosh, his name's escaping me right now.
And that's the thing is like maybe one of them starts and but if it is a rotation, if it is a carousel, which we have seen in this league, excuse me, it might be the most frustrating thing is how often they rotate quarterbacks in this league. Gov, do you have any thought? Maybe you want to play a rotation quarterback. It's just me personally. I tend to stay away from it.
Like I kind of want to play a rushing quarterback with upside, but
Perez is too much, I think.
I think the most talented quarterback for the price is Kellen Mond.
Probably the case. I would see. I really wanted to play Dugan, but if he's not guaranteed the starter, I can't play him.
How much do you think Dugan's just more talented though? Like,
I thought he was significantly better.
Yeah, so like maybe you play him because you're like, well, even if they start to split in the beginning, if he's that much more talented as you think he is, Donnie, he'll eventually just win the job.
Can we also agree?
Just go with Mond?
That's fine, but can we all just agree? No Jordan Teamu, like he's just definitively bad, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. I don't
perennial guy. Like I wouldn't call him bad, but yeah.
I don't want to call him bad, but he's not good.
We did. I didn't want to do it.
I know a beat reporter in the UFL was like, I don't understand why Jordan Teamu didn't even at least get competition. It was like they wanted him to be their quarterback, and they wanted to believe he's more talented than what he is, and so they just didn't push him. It is a very weird situation.
Well, I mean, you look at the Birmingham quarterback room. This is three guys who have, Magoo didn't play last year, but like Cookus, Corral, they both legitimately played last year, along with Magoo, who might be winning the job.
Yeah, because Magoo was
Birmingham's challenging a guy who played in a championship game, but a conference championship game, and played well, outplayed their starter.
Yeah, I like Kellen Mond because the Brahmas are actually the most pass-friendly team in the league too. I was going to mention that they have one of the few offensive coordinators that's actually young and actually prefers to pass. They still run the ball quite a lot. You're gonna, like I say, this league just runs the ball more than the NFL. So if you like that kind of running gun style in college, you're gonna like this league. But San Antonio does pass the ball the most.
So I am looking into it as we talk about names. Kellen Mond, apparently he's looked at as a leader in this Brahmas locker room. He won the starting job officially 5 days ago. Like, he is the guy. They believe he's the guy. I mean, a bunch of NFL teams have given him a shot. I think he's who we have to go with.
He's my favorite personally. I will say if he's not in this lineup, he will be in one of my lineups. So if you guys are debating,
but if we do play Kellen Mond, we have to play Kirkland, I think, especially where we save money at running back. Like, I imagine you just pair that together.
Yeah. Stevenson is also very fast. Like I said, this team has a lot of explosion on the team because McFadden is also on this team, former Steelers running back.
Kirkland, we've seen for the past couple of years be one of the best receivers in spring football. Definitively, him and Butler. It's been 1A, 1B between those two. I don't see why that changes. Yeah, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but it's a shoo-in for me.
I don't even mind the other guy, Stevenson, to be honest. He had some spike games last year too, I believe.
Yeah, he's super fast.
He did, but I mean, and just to be clear, Mond won the starting job. This team is not scared of playing. They had a lot of quarterback health issues. They know their backups. If Mond does not play up, they will pull him.
They will.
Like, San Antonio knows who they have. Granted, I can't even pronounce his name. I'm just going to call him Jarrett because I can't say that name. But they know their guys. So if Mond is who they believe he is, according to reports, he should have this job fine. And they have weapons.
And that's my point. Is if I play Kellen Mond, I don't got to play Stevenson. I don't got to play McFadden in every lineup. But if they still have a blow-up game, I'm still going to get some of the points there with Mond potentially because if that offense does well, it's most likely going to be contributed to the quarterback at some level.
Another thing, Gov, is there anything specifically you want in this lineup?
A bring back in the same game because I kind of like that San Antonio Harlan.
I also do. I have my bring back in my personal lineup. I don't know.
I also have my bring back.
Is it all Canella? I feel like it's all Canella.
It's Canella for me.
It's Canella for me.
Okay, so we're all in agreement. Canella's the guy.
Yeah,
he is so underpriced.
It's because he doesn't really have he doesn't have breakaway speed, but if you looked at his targets, especially late in the year last year, he was getting a ton of targets. And this is where I don't want to take too many chances on too many upside guys because we've seen it last year playing. If you took a 0, you could still win. So that tells you how many bad lineups people were building. I don't think Canella's gonna 0 out. Right, he might not have a big blow up like 80-yard touchdown, but I think he gets enough work.
He's a safe 10.
No way he gets a 0.
He's basically a shoo-in for 10 if he plays the whole game.
And he with all the touchdown upside. Because he's a red zone threat too. So
it's kind of like playing Perez with we're getting a piece of that game, and him and Perez have had chemistry.
Personally, I have one more thing I really want to get in because I think it's just too obvious. I just want the defense of the Stallions. Again, the best defense last year, not much change for them. Get them against who I think is the worst starting quarterback in the league in Teamu. I mean, I think DC's going to be terrible again. They didn't want to challenge Teamu. I have to play it. I have to go up against, especially with the running back room being banged up.
I'll be honest, I just punted at defense. I have no.
I think that's a big mistake in UFL punting at defense, especially when the best defense is going up against arguably the worst offense, who just lost their head coach as he resigned.
Yeah. And by the way, on his introductory press conference, he said he would love the actual active head coach right now for the team.
That would still give us $8K per player. If we can't find a lineup spending about 8, and there's not even any more expensive guys that I'm like, oh my god, I need. So I would just go.
That's the thing. I'm looking in the 7 to 8K range because I can probably just get a couple of those guys.
Right. Pearson.
But I mentioned how
bring back to our running back, Pearson.
I don't hate that.
I'm telling you, without Davis being on the Memphis Showboats and them needing wide receiver, I think the one who is very underpriced is Adams.
And that's another thing. I agree. The one thing I really like about the UFL is you could legitimately leave 2K on the table and easily smash because the pricing is not good. DK does not do a good job of pricing.
Adams was never the primary receiver and still got 33 catches, 443 yards. In the first game of the season, he's going to have to be the primary target for this team.
I think he's had a couple games as primary target because there was injuries last year to that receiver room. So he might have had 1 or 2. Davis missed a couple games last year, I think.
Did he? He might have. He really showed out. When he played well, he really played well, though.
Yeah, he was banged up at the end of the year. I think he didn't miss, but he didn't really play.
Yeah, because he did most of his damage in the beginning of the year. I mean, first couple of weeks he was getting 15, 16 targets. But I do think Adams under 6K is at least a consideration.
I have no problem leaving money on the table, but right now where I would go is shoe in the defense, and we'll have no problem finding guys we like.
Okay, Gov, you break the tie in the defense because I would just pay for the cheapest one.
Stallions.
Fair enough.
They averaged 10 points per game last year. They almost doubled the next closest.
Is it crazy that they're not the most expensive, though?
That's why I'm just saying Stallions.
Yeah.
Hold on.
They will be the most expensive defense the rest of the year. Oh, God. Oh, God. Is he gonna barge in my door? What's happening?
Yeah.
What's happening, Logan? What's happening? I'm afraid now.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid. Drake May is not helping me. I'm afraid.
We still got it. Go Stallions.
He had to run to the laundry.
Yeah, I did. It's in the laundry. That's exactly what I did. I caught that.
Oh,
I
God.
caught that shirt, baby.
Filthy daughter, filthy boy.
I told the people, Donnie, at the beginning of the show, we might not give you winners. We might not guarantee our picks, but we care about this league, and we actually did watch it and enjoy it. That merchandise proves it. Even if you had to run to the laundry to find it.
I wore it yesterday. That's why. It's a good shirt.
Not even afraid to wear the merchandise out in public. Okay, so is there anything? I just think Adams is a shoe in for this lineup, but maybe I'm wrong. Am I missing anything, Go?
I don't mind it. It's a good one-off, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I want
that
to.
gives us enough to afford Pearson, I think.
I want to see if we could just jam in.
No, if Butler misses, though, we get the wide receiver 2, which would turn into the wide receiver 1 in Pearson, who we know is talented. That leaves a lot of salary on the table, but you could put in what's his name? Gosh.
Oh, we didn't mention him, but Marcus Sims had a really good rate of conversion last year. Didn't see a ton of targets, especially early, but it seemed like
very consistent. Like not a ton, but like 5, 6, 6, 5, 6,
Yes.
6, 6.
Yeah, I want to mention that because just when he caught a pass, it was like a, you can see it. It was a 50-yard.
Well, another name we haven't mentioned that if it was any other week and we didn't have a 4K running back on the table, I would play is Samson Nakua, who had a really good year last year as a wide receiver 4, who got a lot of rotational play. He was like 5 targets. That's what Michigan was doing a lot.
But he's out this week.
Samson Nakua is playing this week, and he's only 4K.
Is he?
Yeah, he's right there, 4K.
Oh, he is playing.
It's a guy I would consider in any week, but this one. Mariner was really good last year.
He was. See, Michigan was weird because Sims would only catch like 1 or 2 passes, but everything he touched turned into like a 30-yard gain, I swore. We could also just go on the NFL talent trajectory and go with Mims and just say he's going.
I think you were right about going with Adams. The 5,800 Adams makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay, let's plug it in for now and see what we got after that.
I'm not scared of leaving the 1,500 on the table. That's the thing. You can do that in this league. To me, this gives us enough to throw in Pearson.
Maybe.
Unless there's somebody else we like. Like a McFarland.
McFarland is a maybe.
See, I like Colquitt a lot. He got a ton of targets last year.
Is he? That P is for probable, right?
Yeah, that P.
I think we probably just do Pearson and leave the $1,000. Honestly,
like it's a good bring back. You're right though. Hall did get a lot of targets at the end of the year last year, but with a hamstring injury, I usually don't touch anyone.
But we're running 2 guys in the first game, and I just think that first game will get overowned because if you're a casual, you're like.
I think Birmingham gets overowned too as the 3-time champions.
They could be,
and that's the thing. Birmingham's so spread out. I hate playing Birmingham because you don't know if it's Pearson or Person Jr. You don't know if it's Marable. It could be Sternberger randomly. I mean, there's a lot of talented guys in that team that I love, but Williams.
What I will say about Ricky, though, is if the game is close and like DC is somehow able to keep it close, he is their pass catcher.
100%. I don't think it will be close, but there's so much talent on that team. Honestly, there's so much talent in the league. We've said so many names, and you put Person in, and we wanted Pearson. You put Person, we need Pearson, the receiver.
Oh, the receiver from St. Louis, got it.
As a bring back to our running back, and that's why I want him, especially because he's a bring back. And does Hakeem Butler playing change anything? For me, it doesn't.
Yeah, I will play a lot of Butler. In fact, I do think I'll have a lineup where I have Butler.
I mean, for this lineup, if we find out like he's playing, do we want to change anything?
No, I think this is fine. Well, let's just see if we did take out Adams, what we could do with the extra 1,000, just to make sure we're not missing anything.
You could go person technically. I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah. I
scroll
will say
down.
that's also why I don't like McFadden this week is they have used John Lovett a lot. He is kind of their grinder back. He does nothing sexy, but when we're talking about an event sport like
he
the
was
UFL,
banged up at the end of last year, so his
He
end
was.
of the year stats aren't vindicated. But look at no touchdowns last year. Did they not track it on the DraftKings stuff?
No, he didn't get any touchdowns. But that's the thing is they will split. San Antonio does not usually use one workhorse running back. So anyone that thinks like, oh, McFadden had these big plays, he did, but he's
Scroll
not.
down a bit, see if there's anyone else we like. See.
Oh, I wanted to mention Greg Ward could be just a talent upgrade for the San Antonio Brahmas too. He used to play for the Eagles. He was a slot receiver for the Eagles. Had really good hands in the NFL, so I just imagine that's going to translate very well.
I mean, I can check Twitter and see if there's anything about him right now.
Greg just didn't have the speed in the NFL to separate. Like he just had really good hands. He just didn't have the speed. Didn't have any big breakaway. But I think he could dominate a league like this.
Greg Ward is expected to be a special teams guy, and I don't know what he's priced at, but that's actually kind of big news that I want to check in on. Oh, okay. So the pricing's too much of a drastic change, but Balaj is right now listed as wide receiver, or sorry, halfback one.
I think he is.
I think he is too, but he's finally listed as it.
Right. He's definitely the big kind of like Garrett Blunt type.
Yeah. I mean, he has some NFL work. But, okay, so Ward right now is this listed wide receiver 3 and the special teams contributor.
Yeah.
He's the punt returner.
I'm just saying he does have some NFL pedigree. And if you're looking for some like punt options that most people might not consider.
Well, yeah, he has no averages, no history on him in this league, so it's a risk, but I wouldn't be shocked. But we technically could afford Balaj too in this spot. But again, leaving it 1K on the table is not crazy in this league. It's actually almost usually better. Because there's nothing I want to go down on. I'm comfortable with everyone in this lineup right now. It's just who do we want the last guy to be?
It doesn't really matter to me because they both have opportunities for points. Like Balaj, we're hoping for the touchdowns. He's like Garrett Blunt. He's the event guy. He might score 2 touchdowns.
I feel like Arlington's going to play catch up against San Antonio, and I don't want the running back there, especially not the power back.
They also have a former NFL running back in Devontae Smith who used to play at Michigan, I believe, too. So there's no guarantee.
Scroll down a bit more. Let's see if there's anybody else.
Put it on flex, not just
flex,
running back too.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Good call.
Yeah, scroll us down.
Mariner, but
I did like what I
less
saw.
money.
Yeah, see, I'm not trying to. I would go Adams before I dropped more money. So, is there anyone in that like 6K range? Yeah. Oh, so Mariner's actually is. See, Mariner might be the guy then.
Mariner or Sternberger might be the only 2 other guys. Otherwise, we just.
My thing is, I don't think Sternberger only gets used if they're down in like late in game and they just need quick first downs. They'll just check it down to Sternberger. So I think it's almost like Mariner's the guy.
For me, it's still Adams, but if you
look at the Mariner targets for a second.
Yeah, if you wanted to go Mariner, I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, I mean it's
very
just
similar workload actually between Adams.
But again, we could just see Samson Nakua come in and take
scroll
a big
down.
role.
Let's see his whole season. So, like end of the year, he got a bunch of targets.
End of the year, he got a bunch. In the beginning, he didn't really see much.
Yeah. Okay. I'm fine with going Adams.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd go Adams with. He's just got to be the number 1. It seems.
Excuse me. I will say he did the most with his opportunity. He almost got 12 points.
Oh. I didn't realize this. I completely forgot about this. Alex Magoo, this is his second stint with the Stallions. He took last year off from spring football.
Yeah, he got hurt bad.
He's been with the Packers the last 2 years. He won the USFL MVP in 2023.
He did. And then
So the last 2 years he's been on a practice squad in the NFL, and now he comes back. He could just take over that job.
I want to say one of those practice squad years he had an ACL injury. I want to say, but I could be wrong.
That's big. So yeah, I don't want to touch anything Birmingham because we just don't know right now.
Yeah, and this is where I think like Mon might have a bad game, but I don't think he gets replaced.
Right.
And I think you have to play any certainty you have.
100%. The only thing uncertain we have is our minimum running back. So I don't mind playing Adams here and saying this is our lineup.
Even if we found out that yeah, it really is. But even if we found out the running back wasn't starting for Houston, I think I would still play him because there's not many 4K pivots we could make.
I mean, I think last year we had like maybe 10 games of running back scoring over 20.
Yeah.
Well, so it's just like, if that changes, awesome. I'm here for it. But until I see that not, being a thing, whatever. I always punt running backs in this.
I actually want to say when we were right about who were we right about?
It was the minimum price injury guy. It was started with a J, the first name. I don't know why his name's slipping me, but he got us like 40 points when he came out of nowhere.
But it was a very similar situation, and the name will come to me probably after the show. But what ended up happening was he didn't even start down. They just got behind, and they needed him to catch up. And so, like, that's what I'm saying with this opportunity is like at 4K, we don't need him to be the name the starter. We just need him to get some volume.
Right. And that was early in the year when it happened.
It was.
So basically, don't be worried about leaving prices on the table would be like my last thing of note. Like pricing does not matter in this league, really.
So that's just
you need to do your research.
That's your sneaky advantage, Johnny, is like people are just gonna overthink like the salary.
I gotta use too much salary. Like, no, if you leave $1,500 on the table, just trust the guys that are getting targets that you've heard good things about from good sourcing. Look at your sources. I like scrolling through Twitter and finding random beat reporters that cover UFL trying to make a career. Like, that's what I look for. So that's my big advantage.
Closing thoughts for the people. Any last minute strategy advice?
Definitely, even us building now, not final. Remember that. Keep up on the news. Be ready before the games. Mm-hmm. Even if you're not going to watch it, know before. Double check. Like, the information is online for you to check. Go out and do your work for it. It is possible.
You will cash if you put in time.
Well, I honestly think it's like the WNBA. Maybe you played this.
I don't want to guarantee that, but you probably will, yeah.
But maybe it's like where you're like, well, I want to play this because it's a chance for me to make some DFS money. And then you tune in and you're like, well, since I got a couple of dollars on the line, I'll tune in. And then you actually end up liking the product. Don't be afraid to try different things and be like, well, I want to see if this strategy works. Just don't do anything really stupid. Don't be like, well, I like this guy or he was my friend's cousin, so I'm going to play him. You got to step on the news and you're going to make mistakes, but don't make it more difficult on yourself on purpose. That would be my number one advice.
I'll say this. I gave it a real shot, and I deemed it was worth driving about 3 hours to go see a game in person because the tickets were so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time I was there, I probably spent like $40 for a front row seat to a championship game. And I had a hell of a time.
Now, I think it's very similar to high-end college football. That's where I would put it. I'm not going to say it's comparable to NFL. It's not. But it's definitely not as low grade as some people think it is. I think it is high level.
Now, the skill gap, I think, is there, though. It's like with college, the bad teams versus the best teams, it can be pretty bad. Not quite 80 to 20, but
there is a reason Birmingham's won like 2 years in a row, like
3 years straight.
Yeah,
But I think almost any UFL team could compete with a SEC school in college. I really do.
I think any UFL team would beat an SEC. Like the national championship would not have a chance against the UFL teams. I think that's pretty much true.
And like I say, because these teams are desperate for their last chance, whether it be Canadian Football League or their last chance to earn some money in the NFL, we do see teams try really hard. And and another quick point, just from an entertainment standpoint, I love the all access that we get in the XFL. Like when they go to the rules committee and they're talking over a challenge, you hear referees telling coaches what's going on. You hear them communicate. To me, that's always been really
You
fun.
hear the coach and quarterback conversations too.
You do.
It's
Not
a very
the whole
open
thing,
league.
obviously, but I love that kind of transparent stuff. So
Yeah, I got one more feel-good story to end on, I guess. Just consider we talked a lot about San Antonio, and we are playing some players from there. Don't forget, the YouTube phenomenon, Destroying, is going to be the kicker again. He came back from that gruesome injury. He's still on the roster. They helped him heal up. He's back. He was fun last year. I'm sure he'll come back. It'll be fun this year. It's just overall a fun league, I think. If you enjoy football, I don't see how you don't like this.
it's a good story, but if we're being honest, the kid needed to protect his neck. Come on. I need you to do better.
He admitted he tackled badly. It was his fault on the tackling.
Yeah.
So
do better, protect yourself, enjoy football. I'm excited. I actually just want it in the background. Like I want even the sensation of football, even if it's not on the same level, I'm excited for it. With that being said, though, we'll wrap up. Remember, there's not a lot of people doing it. There's even less projections out there. If you guys could,
and I know there's so much more. Like there's baseball, there's NBA, there's March Madness, there's everything. There's golf. We're about to have the Masters. Oh,
but we spent some time on the UFL, so really, truly, I know there's not a ton of content. If you could just like and subscribe on the way out, it would mean the world. It would help us out a lot. We will stick with you through week 1, through the playoffs, no matter what happens. We have the bankroll for it, so we're going to show you transparently what happens. If we go up, if we go down, we'll be here each and every week. Thank you guys for joining us. Have a good night. Take care, guys.
peace out, everyone.
night.